So, have you ever felt like your thoughts, your desires, maybe even your decisions weren't entirely your own? Like something or maybe someone was quietly shaping things, without you consciously realizing.
That's a really big question to start with, and it ties right into the research we've been looking at, doesn't it?
It really does. These philosophical texts and studies, they suggest something pretty startling, that we've been subtly manipulated maybe our whole lives.
Yeah, and led to believe our desires are like the core of who we are.
Exactly.
But what's really compelling, I think, is this idea that the narrative wasn't just organic, that it might have been, well, almost implanted.
Implanted, like an invisible script.
Kind of, yeah. Steering our actions without us noticing. And that's what this deep dive is all about today, isn't it? Exploring this danger of emotional attachment.
Absolutely. Our mission here is to unpack that, understand how we might regain some control over our inner world.
And maybe turn what feels like a weakness, this emotional attachment thing, into a real strength.
Because, as the material keeps suggesting, maybe these deep impulses, these desires, maybe they aren't really ours to begin with.
It really makes you question perceived freedom.
Yeah.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it suggests we've often just passively accepted this quiet manipulation.
Yeah.
And the sources, they introduce this really striking concept, the smiling slave.
A smiling slave.
Right. Someone who genuinely believes they're in control, but really they're just chasing these fleeting external rewards.
Okay, so that paints a clear, if it may be a bit unsettling picture. But how does this manipulation actually work? How does it get implanted?
Well, the idea is that society often sells us this story, that constant pleasure seeking or needing external validation.
Like a sexual validation or just social appreciation.
Exactly. That's what defines our worth, our purpose even. And that's the narrative that gets subtly embedded, steering us without us realizing.
Right. So the consequence is you become that smiling slave.
Precisely. You're like a prisoner who thinks they're free, pouring all this energy into chasing things that don't last.
It sounds exhausting.
It is. And the material sort of pushes you to ask, have you ever really stopped to ask why you're chasing what you are?
And the answer, according to what we read, is pretty stark, isn't it?
Very. A person trapped in their desire is just, well, the easiest to control.
Wow.
And this is where it gets really interesting, I think. The sources use this vivid contrast, almost poetic.
Oh, I remember this part.
Wait.
While you're chasing bodies.
You're forgetting your soul.
Yeah.
Exactly. While you're obsessed with impressing others, they're building empires.
It's a fundamental misdirection, then, of energy, of focus.
That's a great way to put it. A profound insight into control. When your focus is all external impressing people, finding the next pleasure hit your real internal power, your vision, your authentic self.
It's neglected.
Easily. It's a diversion of energy that serves, external masters, not your own deep purpose.
It sounds almost like an addiction, but maybe sneakier.
Much sneakier. The sources really dig into this, continuously seeking approval through how you look or what you do. Like, hours spent crafting the perfect social media post or working out just for that external gaze or even going into debt for it.
Right. All of that, they argue, can be addiction disguised as self-love, success, or even masculinity.
That's a tough reframing. It really challenges behaviors we often praise.
It does. It forces you to look underneath. What's the real motivation? If it's purely external validation, then it's a dependency. It's not true strength.
And the material poses that really uncomfortable question to you, the listener.
Yeah. If tomorrow no one could desire you, would you still feel worthy?
Oof, that's the acid test, isn't it?
It really is.
Because if the honest answer is no, then you're kind of lost.
You're building on quicksand, as the source puts it, and sinking deeper. True self-love just can't be built on something so shaky, so external.
Okay. So if that's the trap, what's the way out? What do the sources propose?
Well, this is where it gets really powerful. They introduce this concept of the decentralized mind.
Decentralized, not desired. No, that's the key. The solution isn't to just renounce desire completely, not become some kind of, emotionless robot.
Right.
It's to turn it into a weapon to dominate it, to desexualize your mind.
Okay, that's a huge distinction. Desexualize, not eliminate.
Exactly. It fundamentally redefines the relationship. It's not about switching desire off. It's about redirecting it.
Redirecting.
Transforming that raw energy, taking it from, say, external conquest to internal mastery. The material calls it transmutation, not just abstinence.
Transmutation, like alchemy.
Precisely. It's an active process, rechanneling that energy.
And that rechanneling. That's why a decentralized mind is seen as so powerful, the most powerful weapon of the modern individual.
That's the argument.
Right.
Because someone who isn't controlled by their basic instincts, they become unpredictable.
Unpredictable to those who are playing that game.
Exactly. And the unpredictable, as the source notes, is seen as dangerous to those who rely on controlling guiding others through those instincts.
That idea of unpredictability being dangerous is fascinating. That was that analogy, wasn't there? Yeah. About walking into a room.
Yeah, the vivid one. Imagine a room, everyone's playing the usual social games, following the script. Then someone walks in who just doesn't play the game.
You don't know what to make of them.
Right. Fear, admiration.
All right.
But you feel their power instantly, and the material says, why? Because their will is not hijacked. They aren't pulled by the same strings.
But it's crucial, isn't it, that this doesn't mean being cold?
Absolutely crucial. The sources are clear. It's not a cold mine. It actually burns without being consumed.
Burns without being consumed. How?
It observes desire. It understands the mechanics, respects the power of it, but, and this is the key, it doesn't serve it.
So it becomes like a strategist within you.
Exactly. A queen, a strategist. Desire stops being the tyrant and becomes your servant. It's a massive internal power shift.
It really does sound like that psychological alchemy you mentioned. And the source actually brings up Freud.
It does. Connects it to Freud's idea that sexual energy, if not wasted, can be sublimated.
Sublimated.
Yes.
Channeled upwards.
Right. It points to this deeper truth.
Yeah.
The same raw force that can pull you down, make you chase external validation. That exact same force can be transformed, used to lift you up towards your potential.
So that's the psychological alchemy core, transforming reaction into creation.
Nailed it. Think about intense frustration or ambition. Instead of just exploding or burning out,
You channel it.
you channel it into focused work, solving problems, tackling a huge goal. It's about containing that fire, using its heat constructive, not letting it just burn everything down.
Going from passenger to driver of your own impulses.
Beautifully put, yes.
Okay, so if this is the path, it sounds like a fight, an internal one.
The sources are blunt about it. They call it a war against yourself.
And the practical advice is?
It's simple but hard. Every time you feel that pull, that compulsion to impress, to seek validation, you have to pause, ask yourself why.
Just stop and question the...
And more than that, the sources say breathe, observe the void. That feeling of neediness, of lack.
Observe the void.
Yeah.
That sounds uncomfortable.
It is. But the point is, emptiness is not the enemy. It's actually the space where you rebuild yourself.
How so?
Because a decentralized mind doesn't operate from lack. And when you don't need that external validation, you don't beg for it.
And if you don't beg...
no one can use you. That's where the sources say true freedom really starts.
Wow, that makes so much sense. And it explains why, as the source describes it, walking without needing admiration feels different. Like walking above the noise in silence.
Yeah, and that silence, it says, is terrifying to many. It makes people uncomfortable.
Why? Because silence reveals.
Exactly. It shows you're not playing their game anymore. You're off the board in a way.
Which can provoke a reaction.
Definitely. The sources warn about this. People might attack you when you start this path because your independence, your self-control, it reminds them of what they feel they lack.
So they might mock your silence, ridicule your self-control.
Yes, because it removes their excuse for their own unexamined behavior. And this, the material says, is where solitude begins.
It's not a popular path then.
Not celebrated, not rewarded externally, but it's felt internally, deep in the bone, like an unshakable certainty.
So if we pull back again, the real enemy isn't other people or society itself. It's internal. This emotional conditioning.
That's the deeper layer. This invisible system that makes you react without thinking. The system that wires us to connect pleasure with approval, self-worth with being desired.
Our identity with the echo of someone's gaze.
Precisely. It's profound conditioning.
And the examples given. Like being taught, maybe subtly, that love must be earned or value is measured by attention.
Yes, and it goes way beyond just sexual desire. It's that affective conditioning that causes, say, that anxiety when no one texts you back.
Or that hollow feeling when there's no external sign you exist.
Right. The source calls this addiction to reflection, being hooked on seeing yourself mirrored in others' eyes. And it makes you blind to your own internal reality.
So the decentralized mind.
Yeah.
It's like it has broken the mirror.
Metaphorically, yes. It stops looking outside for that reflection. It learns to be alone without feeling empty.
And the power of silence comes back here.
It does. Because silence doesn't lie, doesn't flatter. It just shows you what you really are. Raw, unfiltered.
In that raw silence, that's where the power lies.
That's the claim. When you stop reacting, stop needing, you start observing, really seeing the game being played around you.
Body language, hidden intentions.
Projected emotions, all of it. You're no longer just a piece on the board tossed around by emotions. You become the chess master.
Acting strategically. From your own center. Unhijacked.
Exactly.
But even a chess master needs a goal, right? A reason to play.
Crucial point. The sources stress this. Mastering impulses isn't the end game. Strategy without purpose is just vanity.
So the journey shifts again.
It does. From mere survival to profound meaning. Once you quiet the external noise, you have to face the internal silence, the silence of your soul.
And the big questions it asks.
Really big ones. Why am I here? What do I truly want? What am I willing to suffer for?
Because control without a cause, that can be dangerous too.
Very dangerous. The material warns. Discipline without direction becomes obsession. Control without a cause becomes narcissism. And strength without love becomes tyranny.
So it comes back to nuance. It's not about being cold.
Never about being cold. It's about being clear. Not rejecting pleasure, but transcending its control. Not abandoning others, but crucially, no longer abandoning yourself.
Okay, so what does this all mean for us practically when someone truly embodies this?
The sources say when you stop chasing pleasure, stop fearing judgment, stop needing applause, you begin to live from truth.
And truth, it isn't always easy.
No, it's not always pretty, the text says. Doesn't always win, often walks alone. But it's light, and light is power.
And that leads to this idea of invincibility.
In a specific sense, yes. The individual who walks in truth is described as unstoppable. And think about why.
Because you can't manipulate someone who sees the game.
Exactly. You can't control someone who doesn't crave your reward. You can't seduce someone who's already whole. It's about inner resilience, autonomy.
It really is about building that inner fortress, isn't it? Piece by piece.
And the sources give those clear, almost stark instructions for it. Build in silence. Rise without noise. Lead without asking.
Love without begging. Stand without explanation.
Yeah. The world doesn't need more desperate individuals, it argues. It needs people who have faced the abyss and smiled.
People who respond, not just react. Who transform pain. Who seek purpose.
That's the call. And look, this path, it's not glamorous. You won't see it trending. It's often solitary, but it makes you powerful.
Yeah.
Genuinely free. Real. The decentralized mind, as the material concludes, is not an escape. It's a revolution.
A quiet revolution.
A quiet one, a powerful one. And it starts the moment you stop needing and start choosing.
Quiet revolution. Wow. Okay. So with that, maybe the thought to leave everyone with is this. If this decentralized mind is the weapon and the real fight is against this deep emotional condition, what new vision, what purpose pursue with that freedom now that you started claiming